In the summer of 1941, as the world watched with bated breath, Adolf Hitler made a decision that would ultimately seal the fate of Nazi Germany. Instead of launching the long-anticipated invasion of Britain, he turned his massive war machine eastward, targeting the Soviet Union in an operation codenamed Barbarossa, a choice that would become one of the most consequential strategic decisions in military history. Why did Hitler choose the frozen expanses of the Soviet Union over the vulnerable British Isles? The answer lies in a complex web of ideological obsession, strategic miscalculation, and breathtaking hubris. The roots of this decision stretch deep into Hitler's worldview. For years, he had articulated a twisted vision of living space, Lebensraum, for the German people, a concept that positioned the Slavic territories to the east as a potential colonial frontier. The Soviet Union, with its vast territories and perceived racial inferiority in Nazi ideology, represented the ultimate conquest. Hitler saw the communist state not just as a potential military threat, but as a racial and ideological enemy that needed to be completely destroyed. Moreover, Hitler harbored a fundamental misunderstanding of the Soviet Union's military capabilities. Despite intelligence reports warning of the Red Army's substantial strength, he believed the Soviet state was a colossus with feet of clay, a massive but fragile entity that would collapse with a single decisive blow. He was convinced that the campaign would be a swift, triumphant march, reminiscent of Germany's lightning-fast victories in Western Europe. The decision also stemmed from practical considerations. The Battle of Britain had proven more challenging than anticipated. The Royal Air Force's remarkable defense had thwarted the Luftwaffe's attempts to establish air superiority, making a cross-channel invasion increasingly difficult. In contrast, the Eastern Front promised what seemed like an easier path to victory. Hitler's strategic calculations were further influenced by his belief that attacking the Soviet Union would prevent a potential two-front war. By striking first and decisively, he hoped to neutralize the Soviet threat before the United States could potentially enter the conflict. He was convinced that a quick victory would allow Germany to turn its full attention back to Britain and consolidate its European conquests. What Hitler could not anticipate was the Soviet Union's extraordinary resilience. The Red Army, despite initial catastrophic losses, would not only survive, but ultimately turn the tide of the war. The invasion, launched on June 22, 1941, would become the largest and most brutal military confrontation in human history, consuming millions of lives and ultimately contributing decisively to Nazi Germany's defeat. In a cruel twist of historical irony, Hitler's decision to invade the Soviet Union instead of focusing on Britain was a strategic blunder of monumental proportions. It transformed a potentially winnable war into an inevitable defeat, splitting German forces and exposing the Third Reich to a ruthless, determined enemy fighting for its very survival. The invasion of the Soviet Union was not just a military operation, it was a fateful choice that would echo through history, a moment when hubris, ideology, and miscalculation converged to change the course of World War II forever.